Assalamu alaikum, Vanakkam, good morning, Ivan. Many students requested me to teach English for GCOL examination. Therefore, I decided to teach English and literature. Okay, students. Today, I hope to teach you the present continuous tense. The present continuous tense. Students, can you tell me the name of the first part of the present continuous tense? The first part of the present continuous tense is named as the subject. Students, I will write the English alphabet subject. Can you tell what we use after the subject? After the subject, we use auxiliary verbs. In present continuous tense, we use 3 auxiliary verbs. If you are using I for the subject, we use the auxiliary verb am. Okay. If you are using a singular noun or pronoun or something else, we use the auxiliary verb is. Okay. If the subject is plural, we use the auxiliary verb are. Okay, students. Can you tell to me that what do you use after the auxiliary verbs? We use the verb after the auxiliary verb with ing. I will name it as we. Okay. What do you use after the verb? We use the object after the verb. Okay, students? We will take an example. I will say in singular, Mama gedara yami. Okay. So, students, what do we use to the subject? Mama gedara yami. We use I for the subject. Okay. When you use I for the subject, I told you that we have to use the auxiliary verb am. Okay. I am. Okay. After that, we have to use the verb with ing. Going. I am going. Okay. After that, we have to use the object. The object is home. Okay. The subject is I. The auxiliary verb is am. After that, going, the verb is home. Okay. Now, students, we will try to change the subject into the plural. What is the plural of the pronoun I? The plural of the pronoun I is we. Okay. The subject is plural. Therefore, what is the auxiliary verb that you use? We have to use the auxiliary verb are. Okay, we are. After that, we have to use the verb going home. Right? After that, we will try to use you. These are pronouns, okay? You. What should be the auxiliary verb? The auxiliary verb should be you are. Okay. You are. The verb is going. The object is home. You are going home. Okay, students. Next, we will use the pronoun he. Okay. He is singular. Therefore, what is the auxiliary verb that you use? We have to use the auxiliary verb is. He is. The verb is going home. Okay. Next, we will use the auxiliary verb. Next we will use the pronoun they. Okay. They is plural. Therefore, what is the auxiliary verb that you use? You have to use the auxiliary verb are. They are going home. Okay. So you can use any verbs. As an example, I am, instead of going you can use eating. I am eating. So you can write, you can state rice, cakes, biscuit, etc., etc., etc. Okay, students, I hope that you would have understood well about the present continuous tense. Okay, now we will try to discuss some questions. Okay, students, I have written about 20 questions. For today, we will discuss these questions, and later on I will send exercises. Okay, students, put the verb within brackets into the present continuous tense. I will read the first sentence. Okay, the subject is he. After that, there is a blank, the door. The subject is he. It is singular. Therefore, what is the auxiliary verb that you use? You have to use the auxiliary verb is. Okay, he is. Within bracket, they have given the verb. We have to use the verb with ing. So, he is opening the door. He is opening the door. Okay, students. Next we will switch on to the second one. The subject is she. Blank the floor. She. Is it singular or plural? The subject is singular. Therefore, what is the auxiliary verb that you use? You have to use the auxiliary verb is. Then she is. The verb is given within brackets. You have to write the verb with ing. She is sweeping the floor. Okay, students. Next we move on to the third one. The servant blank the plates. Okay. The servant. Is it singular or plural? The subject servant is singular. Therefore, you have to write. Therefore, you have to use the auxiliary verb is. The servant is. You have to use the verb with ing. The servant is washing the plates. Okay, next we'll move on to the fifth one. The subject is Mary. Is the subject singular or plural? Because the subject singular, what is the auxiliary verb that you use? We have to use the auxiliary verb is. Mary is. Within brackets, they have used the word do. You have to write the word do with ing. Mary is doing her homework. Okay, students. Next we move on to the sixth one. The baby is the subject. Is it singular or plural? the subject is singular. Therefore, what is the auxiliary verb that you use? You have to use the auxiliary verb is. The baby is, within brackets they have written the verb play. You have to place the verb after the auxiliary verb with ing. The baby is playing with a doll. Okay students, next we will move on to the 7th one. Mrs. Pereira, the subject is singular, therefore we have to use the auxiliary verb is, within bracket they have written the verb so, then you have to write Mrs. Pereira is sewing a frock. Okay students, next the 8th one, Jane, it is singular, therefore you have to use the auxiliary verb is. Jane is, within bracket they have used the verb make, then you have to use the verb with ing. Jane is making a cup of tea. Okay students, next we'll move on to the 9th one. Alice singular is Alice is the verb is mentioned here. Alice is buying fish. Okay, next one, the 10th one. The gardener is singular, therefore you have to use is. The verb is water, you have to use the verb with ing. The gardener is watering the plants. Okay students, next we'll move on to the 11th one. The birds. Here you see the subject is plural. The birds. When the subject is plural, what is the auxiliary verb that you use? We have to use the auxiliary verb are. Okay, the birds are. The verb is given within brackets as fly. You have to use the verb with ing. The birds are flying. Next one, two servants blank talk. Two servants. It is said about two people. Therefore, the subject is plural. You have, then you have to use the auxiliary verb are. Two servants are, within brackets they have written talk. You have to use the verb with ing. Two servants are talking. Okay, next. John blank a bicycle. John is singular. Isn't that so? Because the subject is singular, what is the auxiliary verb that we use? We have to use the auxiliary verb is. John is riding a bicycle. Okay. Next one, the boys. The boys. The subject is plural. Therefore, you have to use the auxiliary verb are. The boys are. You have to write fighting. Oh? The boys are fighting. Next one, the small girl. It is singular. Therefore, you have to use is. The small girl is. The verb is wear. Then you have to say it as wearing a lovely dress. Next one, some boys. Some boys. It is plural. Okay. When the subject is plural, we have to use the auxiliary verb are. Some boys are. They have written the verb eat within brackets. You have to place it with ing. Some boys are eating ice cream. Okay, next one. The old man, it is singular. Therefore, you have to use is. The old man is carrying a baby. Next one, he. This is a pronoun. Isn't that so? He. Is it singular or plural? He. He is singular. Therefore, you have to use the auxiliary verb is. He is. Within bracket they have written the verb go. You have to write it with ing. He is going to the market. Okay. Next one. Two women. Plural. Two people are selling vegetables. The last one. He is singular. Therefore, you have to use the auxiliary verb is. He is ringing the bell. Okay. When the subject is singular, you have to use is. When the subject is plural, you have to use are. When you are using I for the subject, you have to use am. Okay, students. I hope that you have understood the present continuous tense? Well, as I did about 20 questions, I will send more questions. You try to answer them, and if you have a problem or a difficult place, please send me a comment. Okay. Next week I will be teaching a poem from the GCOL literature syllabus. Okay students, thank you very much. Walaikum salam.